LB, Rupert, Albert, and the Bishop Paul Brown. Bad man for the 2020-2021. And you know what it is. You know Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego too. This is Paul Rupert.
We're back!
Coming out with a brand new thought, covered under the blood in which we were born. So we know how to get to
Is for bold, A is for active, D is for determined. When you consider King David valiantly, you have an idea and understanding for taking this. Stay tuned, y'all.
Hallelujah, revive us again.
We are excited to bring fresh commentary, good conversation with two bad men. Boy, you don't want to miss this. Bad Man for Christ. Join us.
As the saying goes, bad men for Christ. That is how it will be for the rest of our lives. Sit back, relax, and enjoy our show because you're stuck in the house with nowhere to go.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Overseer. Welcome to another edition of the Bad Man Show. We're delighted to have you. God bless you, and thank you so much for joining us one more time.
One more time. We are so glad we are here, Bad Man. The Bad Man Show. We are excited about having all of you on. I'm hoping I have no computer problems today. So if I don't, it's going to be a blessed day. Hallelujah. Amen. Revive us again. We are back for another Monday, 7:15. Welcome, welcome. Bishop, good to see you, man. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, Overseer.
Another Monday.
I am glad that you finally decided to join me with the Mac 1,
Yes,
the Mac 1, the M1 Mac Mini, so that you can really produce. And we're not promoting Apple now. It's just that
when they pay us.
a smooth flowing show.
Yes.
So how are you doing?
When they pay us, I will be glad to promote Apple. When they start giving us a revenue stream, I will produce them, or I will promote them all day. But until then, we will not promote them. We will just say I have a new system, and I'm hoping it works. It looks good so far to me, so I'm hoping it works out that way. So we just came off another weekend, another day of worship, another great day. We had an awesome show last week, Bishop. I believe we had an awesome show. It was so good. I think we could have went another half an hour without a problem. But I think we had to, talk a little bit more about that stuff. But we're going to do a little bit of an extra flair this week, right?
All right. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes. And again, as you said, last week was a tremendous show. And yes, we could have gone for another half an hour. I know the guest, our guests, they were our guests. I shouldn't say we didn't have any guests, it was just you and I, but those, our audience, they were just delighted. And that's one of the best shows that we have, where we have a lot of participation from our audience. And that was truly a blessing. Yes.
Yeah, it truly was. It was a great show. People were asking questions, a lot of comments, so it was awesome. We thank you, our fine viewers, and we're asking you, please don't forget to subscribe and like and do all those things for us, so that way we can kind of blossom. We're trying to get this thing internationally loved by the world. We would love to have 10 million people watching us every Monday. But if I get 1,000 people, 100, I'd be happy, because that's what we're shooting for. Little steps.
But I want to say that I'm so delighted and glad for those who have been so faithful. I've been coming on each Monday night, and we want to express our gratitude, and we thank you so much. Your tremendous support and your encouragement, and so even though Overseer is asking for 1 million, I want to say thank you for the few that we have right now, because without you,
we wouldn't be. We got nothing. So yes, we do definitely thank you. But as I was saying, we're doing this kind of same type of vibe as last week, but we're adding a little flair to the show this week. We are fortunate enough to get this very busy guy. Now, I don't know if everybody saw his mugshot that he gave us to introduce him. I don't know how, if he was about to get into a boxing match, but he had that I'm about to box somebody look. Now, we have to ask him, is that how you have to pass during St. Croix? Because we have to have that mugshot. But let me bring him in, no other person than Overseer John Briscoe.
Oh my goodness.
God. There he is.
There he is. There he is. Welcome, Overseer John Briscoe.
Blessings. God bless you.
What's the name on comment? Okay, first of all, I know you. I don't want you to ask all Common and Serene. You better be John Briscoe. Now explain your mugshot. That's all I want you to do right now. Explain the serious look on your face. You had that. So explain that to me, please.
I don't think he has an explanation.
There's no explanation, man. There's no explanation.
Overseer John, I'm going to be more kind. I'm going to be kind to you, man. For our viewers, for those that maybe join us for the first time, or for those that don't know you, why don't you just share with us and share with our audience a little bit about yourself, personal, professional, ministry, just a brief synopsis, so that we can get our audience to actually get a glimpse of who you are, how powerful you are, and the mighty man that you are.
Yes.
Bishop, you setting me up. But praise God, everyone. And again, I do want to thank God and thank Bishop and Overseer Johnson for this honor and opportunity to come on your show, which is doing great things. And I appreciate being here this evening. Pastor Briscoe, John Briscoe, is really not a whole lot to me. I'm a very simple guy, quiet guy. Some may say shy to some extent. I grew up in a large family. I'm the youngest of 11.
Woo!
And born in the Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, America's paradise.
Oh, wow.
Praise the Lord. America's paradise.
Say more. Yes.
And, when I was young, I came to the States, further my education. And while there, I got saved and began this journey with the Lord. And then at some point, I came back home and started another journey with the Lord. Presently, I work, I am a certified peace officer. And so I work for the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands as a probation officer. Been doing that now for the past 14 years.
Ooh.
And I also have a small landscaping company that I also do, part of my hobby. And I'm the pastor, the founder of Refuge Tabernacle Church. And that's about it.
Wow.
So John Briscoe, could you please explain to me how come your family owns half the island? Could you just
Man, don't say stuff like that, Rupert. Don't say stuff like that. Man.
It's serious, John. It's serious. So John, I didn't know you owned the landscaping company now. That's new to me. But so tell me, so how has your experience been when it comes to being in ministry, especially going from the United States now going over to St. Croix? How was that experience been?
It has been very challenging, to say the least. The environment, church environment, from the States to here in St. Croix, it's totally different. And so you have to kind of get used to the whole newness of it. As far as the fellowship, as far as the worship, everything was just kind of walking into a totally new dimension. Yeah, it really was kind of like a shock. It shock you into some type of reality. And I'm not sure if I'm out of that shock yet. So I might still be in the midst of the shock.
Well, Overseer John, Overseer Rupert and myself, we traveled to St. Croix, to one of your pastoral anniversary. I believe it was
Yes.
our church anniversary.
Yes.
Yes. And we had an opportunity to go with you to the beach, and so I don't understand what kind of shock you're talking about, because we enjoyed the paradise, but talk to us a little bit about your call into this pastoral leadership, and at what age you kind of realize, at what point in your life you realize that the call of the Lord is on you to lead his people.
The thing about the whole call into ministry was a good thing, was an acceptable thing. As I was in New Jersey working under a pastor, so the call to ministry was cool. I didn't have a problem with that. The call to pastoring, that on the other hand, yeah, I had some reservations when it comes to really shifting into that role. And so when the Lord called me to come home, I was not, yes, Lord, here am I, send me. It was more of, are you sure that it's me you're talking to? And for some time I would honestly just kind of act like, you ain't talking to me. Because it's just, pastoring was never something that I ever wanted to do. I never wanted to pastor. I just wanted to work and to help. But, I never wanted to be the head. I can be the elbow or the ankle, and I'll be cool with that. But to be the head of the church, the leader of the church, that's not something that that I honestly welcome or was looking forward to. So when the call came, like I said, I kind of met it with some resistance. And I remember at the time, my pastor would come up to me and say, "Is the Lord saying something to you?" And I'd be like, "I don't know what you're talking about." He said something to you. Like he say something to you. He asking me that. And so when I'm being asked the question, I'm saying to myself, "Okay, God must be saying something." But I just was not. I didn't want to receive it. And so, I was placed on a fast, and while I was going through the fast, the Lord began to speak more clear, and so I just had to say yes to the Lord, and and that was not, like I said, honestly, it was not something that I really was looking forward to doing. And I remember speaking to Bishop Johnson, Rupert Johnson, who was our bishop at the time.
Not that guy.
I know him. I know that guy. Not me? No, I thought
not that guy.
Not him. And and when I spoke to him in reference to what the Lord was saying and how he was dealing with me, I remember Bishop Johnson said, this is a happy sad. Because I really was kind of, I was sharing with him, and I was waiting for him to say, Brother John, no, you don't go nowhere, And so he said, he started up by saying, this is a happy sad. So I'm saying, I'm waiting, for his punchline. And he said, I'm happy because the kingdom is going to be expanding. He said, I'm sad because the district is going to be losing you. And so, that really wasn't what I wanted to hear from my bishop. But when he said it, I said, okay, if that's what Bishop said, then, that's what it got to be.
Amen.
And,
Amen.
Yeah,
but
I
you
mean,
know how we are.
yeah.
That wasn't enough. You know how we do, the truth. So I went to Bishop Lloyd Faulkner, who at the time was a part of our district, and shared with him, because when you don't get the answer you want from one person, you go to somebody else. And so I went to him, and he was like, he got up, he said, I feel this in my spirit. This is the Lord's work. I said, Jesus. I mean,
Yeah, you should have
anybody
come
else
to me.
go to now,
Overseer, if you were looking at way out, man, you should come to me. Maybe, maybe I give you. Maybe I would have give you a little way out, man.
But I was looking. I'll tell you the truth. I was looking, and I just didn't get it. So I said, "Okay, Lord," and came on down. And that's pretty much how that works.
Now, John, that gentleman you spoke about, Bishop Rupert Johnson, great guy, great person. I believe he has an awesome son. I think I know his son. His son is just incredible. But so the question I have though is and it's a little bit off of the questions that we talked about, but when we talked, because actually my father, one of the last trips my father took was going out to St. Croix to dedicate the trip before he passed, and thank God he was able to get there and do that. But you talked about how you had to start the church, and I don't know if you know where I'm going. I hope you do, but we spoke about how in America you look to the people, but in St. Croix they looked at you when you were doing the new church, when you had to build the church. If you can talk about that a little bit, so understand the difference between pastoring maybe in America when you're starting off versus pastoring in St. Croix.
Well, I think that one of the disadvantage, if you will, that I had in starting the ministry is that typically in the States, you go to your pastor and you say, the Lord is leading me to start a work. And as long as you are in good relationship, and what you're doing is according to the leading of the Spirit, the pastor typically will say, okay, and they will send maybe 2 or 3 families or 2 or 3 individuals to kind of give you that help, that boost to get you going. Coming here, there was ain't nobody gonna come over waters, so you come on your own. And you got to be the choir, you got to be the musicians, you got to do everything, and you got to start it, and you got to maintain it on your own. So and then again, we are not necessarily saturated here in St. Croix with Pentecostal apostolic churches, and so here I come talking this Jesus stuff, as many would call it. Who this fellow just coming here talking this Jesus stuff? All they knew for the most part is you got the Catholic that is pretty much domineering, and then you got the AME, and you got the Baptists and the Methodists, but you don't have a lot of Pentecostal apostolics. So that made the transition even harder, because now you coming in and everything that you say, everything you do is totally new. They, I was told one time, so we've never heard about this Jesus stuff. We have no idea. So we trying to figure out what it is you're saying. So the transition was relatively difficult. And then, and Rupert, you and I have discussed this on many occasions, especially in the beginning, whereas I was here literally on an island by myself. You know, there was no lifeline, there was no support, there was nobody calling, there was nobody checking, there was no texting, there was nothing. So I'm here, and I'm struggling, and it's just me, you know, really and truly, and you know, there's been some times of frustration because I'm saying, my goodness, man, you know, I'm up there, and a day don't pass, I'm on the phone with everybody. You know, a week don't pass, I'm in somebody's church and this and that. And now I'm here, you know, and I'm saying to myself, and I know when I was up in Jersey, I was faithful. So ain't no question about that. And I'm saying I come down here and it's like out of sight, out of mind. You know, nobody, the phone ain't ringing, this ain't happening, nothing. So it you know, at a point it was very discouraging, you know, and what I held on to was the fact that I said, well, you know what? They didn't send me.
That's right.
You know, that was my thing. They didn't send me. God sent me. So I can't depend on them. I got to put my dependence on God, and I got to rely on God. And so that's basically what I did. You know, I would tell Rupert, don't say nothing, because you know Rupert like to run his mouth sometimes. So I would tell him, Rupert, don't say nothing. I'm going to deal with my struggle. You know, I'm going to get through this because I got to prove myself. And that was really my thing. And he and I would talk about it many times. And I said, I understand the concept that you got to prove yourself. If you're going to say God sent you, then you got to go and you got to allow God to establish you. You know, and so that's what we were able to do by the grace of God, through the different struggles. It's just to rely on him. And then as time went on, you know, God would open up ways, and Bishop Brown started to help, to reach out, to support, and you know, so we started to get some encouragement, and stuff that we can look forward to, and we know that, okay, we're not alone. You know, see, this phone call tells me I'm not alone, and so that kind of helped, you know, encourage, especially, like I said, when you're young, in terms of trying to establish a ministry, because this is from the ground up. You know, this is not you taking over something or whatever. This is starting from fresh. And so, you know, like I said, as we started to evolve, we started to get help, we started to get support and prayers, and you know, real phone calls and stuff like that. So that helped, you know, get us over the hump.
That's a blessing, man. And well, we truly thank God, man, for your tenacity, you hanging in there. And of course, I mean, I don't say it so loudly that you were talking to Overseer all the time. You know,
I'm trying to figure this out, where he keeps saying he had no support, but he was talking to me. That makes me start.
So that tells you right there, Bishop Brown, that speaks for itself. If I'm talking to Rupert all the time and I ain't got no support, that should tell you something.
Wait a minute. I want all the listeners to know. There was a time I stayed in the airport for 4 days to go out to see Overseer Briscoe in St. Croix. Planes being canceled. Cancel after cancel. I took a plane to Puerto Rico to St. Thomas, got on a little boat plane to St. Croix. You know how long I was in St. Croix for? 1 night and 1 day. Had to fly back.
Overseer John, let me say this. That's your friend. That's what you expect a friend to do. So I understand exactly where you're coming from. That's your friend.
Exactly.
He's not talking about, he expects a friend to do exactly what you did. He's talking about somebody like me who just only call them every so often.
we got to have a show on real love. I'm not feeling real love right now. we got. Well, let's go on. Let's just go on. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead, Bishop. Ask another question.
Yeah. So we thank God, amen. We thank God that you made it. Well, I shouldn't say you made. We thank God for the blessings, and we thank God for you actually, you know, you being a founder and the tests that you actually go through. Overseer, would you like to? I think isn't that the vice presider that's put a note? You need to say something.
Hey, that was the vice presider. that was Bishop Stokes. That was Bishop Stokes saying being a founder is a test of our faith and trust in God. I'm not going to say nothing. You all can say something if you all going to get in trouble. I'm not getting in trouble. He knows my number. He'll call me.
Yes, but we thank God, and it's a blessing, because as you've been tested, and as overseer, over time, we had the storm, and the storm came through, and situation, and I recall that the organization stepped in and assisted. So but I can sense what you're actually saying at the beginning, and thank God that you held on and hold up, because as when President Biden came on in, he said help is on the way. We thank God that help finally got to you.
And the thing about it is that I never really was looking for a whole lot of help, because of the fact that I always believe that if God is going to call you, then he got to be the one to provide for you. And so and another thing about it is, a lot of people, even some bishops that I found out afterwards, didn't even know that I was in St. Croix starting to work. As a matter of fact, and you just heard from our vice presider, I remember when he found out, he called and didn't know. And so he started to inquire what's going on, how this, and he actually came down to see about us. So I don't want to give the impression that I was, utterly abandoned from jump. It was me. And once in a while Rupert would call,
Yeah, we truly appreciate it. Yes, we thank God. Well, one of the things that we wanted when we actually had decided to get you on, we wanted to get your perspective on how the corona pandemic, how it impacted St. Croix as opposed to what you saw via the news here in America. So that one, because we wanted to continue on the conversation that we had last week. So could you share with us a little bit about what took place, how things were, how the coronavirus, the impacts and the challenges that it faced to your ministry there in St. Croix?
It was not as bad, obviously, here in the territory as a whole. We were able to shut down when the virus started to kind of spread in the U.S. The government kind of just put a shutdown, lockdown incoming visitors, and we kind of shut down the bars and different establishment places where a lot of people would go and gather, and so that helped to kind of contain the spread a lot. So as a territory, since the virus broke out, I think we lost 27 people. 27 people have died.
Wow.
And so I think it has a lot to do with, like I said, the leadership of government and the position they took to try to safeguard the community. Now it did have an effect, of course. As a matter of fact, it had a personal effect, because even though we had all these safeguard measures in place, I still was able to contract the virus. And so my wife and I both had it, and knocked us down for a while. So I could clearly see why they had to make the decisions they did. So as a territory, it didn't hit us as bad. It kind of hit the economy somewhat, from the tourism and stuff like that. but as far as the livelihood and stuff, it wasn't as bad. As far as church now, of course, like America, it affected in terms of membership, in terms of attendance, because this here we got this scary thing that's killing people. We look on the news and we see all the people dying, and so we don't want to take the chance. So everybody just kind of scattered, and
Yeah.
as a result, we just kind of had to move into a different dimension in terms of being able to still minister and to reach the people. And so we started using various media streams that was available to us to still be able to reach souls.
Yeah, and it's, John, it's so funny because, and I just thought that, I saw people not coming on our visual or our virtual stuff, not coming in when we had church services. So I know people were leaving our church, and I at first I was upset. I don't know about you or Bishop, but at first I was upset. I was like, really, y'all, at the time that we need you the most, you're gonna walk away? But what God kind of impressed in my spirit was that no, I'm removing those who aren't really for you. And I'm removing those who aren't ready to go where I'm going to take you. So I kind of use it as a pressing board to say, okay, now it's time for me to do the ministry I know that God has called me to do. Was that kind of what you felt? Bishop, this is for both you guys. Is that kind of what you guys felt also?
I did initially. It was kind of it took me back some, because I was like, where the people at? And then you begin to realize, okay, at first I started to say, okay, well, you know what, they're being concerned about their health, so you can't be upset with that. But then what began to happen is you realize they're not coming to church, but they're going to other functions.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily church, because you're still going out. So it is a decision that you have made, and the pandemic was a good excuse. That was the way out for some who really didn't. They just come. And so I had to shift in the way I looked at things. Rather than being concerned in reference to the fact that they're not in the house of God, but they're in other houses. So I said, okay, well, if that's a choice that they make, then, you got to respect people for their decision. So that's their decision. My decision is I'm going to keep praising God.
So what adjustment did you make in the ministry? Because as you sense people kind of drifting away, not actually being in the assembly, how did you make any changes in the local assembly to kind of offset or combat these decisions that the brethren were making?
Well, not necessarily. What I did is, again, I shouldn't say no. We kind of did what we try to do. We try to reach out to those, and we say stuff like, okay, if you're not able to come, then you can log in and you can view us online. So we try to keep a connection with them on that level, because it was obvious that the decision was, for whatever reason, they wasn't going to physically attend the building. So we decided we're gonna bring the building to you, and that have worked out pretty good in terms of us being able to reach other people, because the media avenues that we use, we get well over the amount we reach over the amount of people that would physically come into the building. So, in a way, it's just kind of a blessing in disguise.
That's
so that's
great.
yeah.
So, and again, to our viewers, please like and subscribe us, but also ask your questions, take your comments. It's live time. We can ask Brother John any question that you feel like asking. So John, you talked a little bit about, the number of deaths was only 27, which still is a shame anybody dies from this stuff, but that's a very good number. But your seclusion on being an island and the tourism, and you only talked a little bit about the economic. I've got to think that, like many of the tropical islands, tourism is a huge part of the economy, for jobs and for money coming into the country. I've got to believe the church has also been devastated because people aren't working, things like that. How were you able to sustain the normalcy of church? Or did you, other than just how you view church or how you went to church, did you have to make other drastic changes? Did you have to shut down yourself? Did you have to change what you did? You're fortunate. You're a pastor who's working and has their own business. But how did some maybe the other pastors feel that you might have talked to or dealt with in St. Croix?
For the most part, the churches just continue to flow.
Wow.
Some actually closed the doors, but the faithfulness of the members have maintained what is necessary in terms of providing the resources to keep the house flowing.
Great.
For us, we are fortunate that God has blessed us. We don't have a high overhead. So that obviously was a blessing, that even though the physical number have decreased, we're still able to do the things that we need to do to keep everything how it should be.
Bishop, when he said he doesn't have a high overhead, what he meant was it's never that too hot and it's never cold. So you don't have to worry about AC or about heat. This man is just digging us every minute because you know how New Jersey is. So he just keeps pressing and digging. Oh, I don't have a high overhead. Oh, I got you. I hear you. All right, preacher.
Remember that he's in paradise. But so John, and we're running out of time, as always. But talk to me a little bit on how this impacted you as a pastor, and what do you see your vision or you envision the future in ministry, because things have changed. There's some that's not coming back, which you more or less have realized, and there's some that that are going to be with you through thick and thin. They prove that.
Yes.
And then you have the floaters, those that you're just going to see every now and again. How has all this impacted you personally as a pastor and your vision for what you see the church there in St. Croix for the future?
Well, I think that what it really have done is open up my eyes to look more beyond the walls, and to see the need to reach out and to be able to tap into whatever resource that are available to help the ministry continue to be able to be effective beyond the walls. Because as you mentioned, Bishop, it's just the times in which we're living in. Some people just not going to come back into the building, but they still need to hear the word.
Amen.
And so I think that, in terms of going forward, we have to start envisioning more ways that we are able to reach out. We have the internet access that we have to be able to utilize to minister to folk. And he has to go beyond just being able to come on and preach and to teach, but we have to find ways to identify people who need prayer, and find ways to identify people who are suffering and be able to connect with them in the way that the love of God can still be felt and souls can still be saved.
Yes.
So that's really what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to develop ourselves more on a multimedia level. Whereas while we still have those who are coming into the sanctuary, and as things begin to evolve, continue to evolve, we get more people, we get visitors and stuff like that. But at the same time, there are a whole lot of others out there who we are able to by utilizing resources to minister to. So I think that we have to become more open-minded and kind of get out the box somewhat, knowing that okay, there's some folk we're just not going to be able to reach in the house. So we got to find a way to get to their house.
So, so overseer, I gotta plug it because you hit some keywords there.
Yeah.
Beyond the walls. Doesn't that sound like at least a couple years before this pandemic? The theme from our presiding president. Oh, come on! Do you think a visionary, our presider, actually more or less spoke to this? Because prior to the pandemic, what has he been telling us? Ministry, 21st century ministry, beyond. So in a certain aspect, I think some of the good stuff from the presider has flowed into you.
Well, you know what? And we are grateful. I would say this, we were grateful to God for our presider. I remember, I believe some years ago, he actually took time to come down to St. Croix and rededicated the building for us. And we know that our presider is a very busy man, and to take the time out of his schedule to come down to the little island, St. Croix, was a great blessing and honor, for all of us. And so I just want to take this opportunity to say we thank God for that.
Overseer, we have 3 minutes, about a couple minutes left. Why don't you take it from there? John is your good friend. I know you want to have something to say to him, and bring this great show to a close.
Well, before I go there, because you had to schmooze to this presider, John schmoozed to the presider. Let me schmooze to the presider too.
John,
I just thank the presider too for when he came and he helped. The succession plan at Rehoboth when my father passed away. He came all the way from Baltimore to little old Trenton and helped us with this succession plan. And I thank God. Man, all of you guys, man. I know Bishop Bull is on here. I know Bishop Stokes is on here.
Hey, Briscoe, you hear all of that? Ask who is his mentor. Ask him, John. Ask him who is his mentor.
Who's your mentor?
Bishop Saunders. Okay, so John, before we have to go, we were telling a story last week about how when Bishop, Bishop Saunders Senior used to preach, you had to take notes. And I was telling a story about, I think it was you, me, and Perry. We were in South Carolina, I think it was for a men's conference. And we came back and we all had our notes and we're sitting there talking about our notes in the room. And that was kind of how you had to deal with Bishop, right? That's how you remember it. That's how I remember it. Yeah. This guy over here was talking about, I had access to Bishop, so I was able to speak to him about this and speak to him about that. John, see, the little guys like us, guys like us, we just have to try to fit in where we can fit in, right? That's what I'm saying.
That's it.
Well, John, man, it's good seeing you, man. It's good talking to you. One thing we got to talk about our I don't know how long. Was it a 2-year spat? How long was our spat for? How long do we have our spat? About 2 years, right? Yeah, I don't know. Me and John we weren't talking. We weren't friends for about 2 years. Yeah. Even though I loved him from afar, and he loved me from afar. We just weren't talking. We just had a big spat, but we fixed it. It was like a 4-hour. It was like boyfriend girlfriend. We had like a 4-hour conversation. No, you did me wrong. Rupert, you did me wrong. And we, oh God, but we did it the right way. We talked out in that, and I love this guy. This guy's my brother. I don't talk to him all the time now because he doesn't need me anymore. There was a time when he did need me. Now he's a big shot. Doesn't need me anymore. So I don't talk to him as much. But he knows that if he calls Rupert Johnson, I will respond. And I know if I call John Briscoe, he will respond. He is my brother. From the time he was in Jersey, we were good boys over here. We just enjoy each other's company, and I still enjoy his company talking to you. So, John, thanks for joining us, man.
Yes, thank you, John. Thank you, Pastor Briscoe. Thank you, Overseer. God bless you. And to all viewers and our guests, we say thank you so much for joining us. Come back again on next Monday and be a part of this Bad Man Show. God bless you. Glad, love you, appreciate you.
Take care, everybody. God bless. John, stick around, stay on, don't go. But God bless you all next week, everybody. See you next
again. To the A, to the D, to the M. So sing hallelujah, revive us again. To the A, to the D, to the M. So sing hallelujah, revive us again. To the A, to the D, to the M. Now you see